Good morning, everyone. I guess it may be afternoon in some parts of the country. My name is John Carter. I'm CEO of Noah Basketball. And what we're going to do is walk you through some training today on using the app and the community website. A couple of housekeeping things. Everyone is in mute mode. I'm the only one that can speak at this point because we have so many attendees that it just gets a little bit staticky and a little bit noisy. So the way that you will, for those of you that haven't been on one of these webinars before, you will notice on the box on your screen that you can actually ask a question. You can just type a question in there, and we will do some question and answer at probably a couple different points during the webinar. So certainly feel free, whenever the question hits you, you don't have to wait until I ask for questions. Go ahead and type it in there, and then I'll have a log there that we can get to as we go through. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start at the real base level of how to download the app and how to launch, how to get everybody logged into the community site. Then we'll actually get into to more of the actual functionality of the app and of the community site. But first off, we want to make sure everybody knows how to get the app and how to get connected to your players on the community website. So I'm going to actually simulate my iPhone on the screen here so you can see there. So at this point you should be able to see my phone screen. And so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the App Store here, and I'm going to search for MyNoah. Okay, and sorry about that. 1 second. So it comes up MyNoah V3 because this is a third version of the app, and you can see this is obviously the app we're looking for. I'm going to go ahead and download the app real quick. And I want to point out also one of the most common questions we get. Many times someone will try to download the app from their iPad. And what happens with the iPad, our app is an iPhone app. An iPhone app will work on either an iPad or an iPhone. So what happens is if you're not seeing that, showing up in this search window, you need to search under iPhone app. And then you will actually see the app show up there. So now that we have the app, I'm going to click open, and it's going to come up, and this is the very first screen that your players will see. Also, I want to point out that it's important, the very first time you launch the app, you need to be connected to the internet. So you don't need to be in a dead spot in the gym where you don't have internet or things of that nature, because when we actually click sign up, which I'm about to do here, it will actually register that player on the community website at that point. So you can see here I've got two options. I can sign up or I can sign in. So if say you already have launched it on the device, you're already registered, you just click sign in and you don't have to go through the sign up process. If you remember your username and password, you can be logged into you can log into multiple devices. So I'm going to click sign up as if this is a very first time. And we ask for some basic information the first time you launch the app. And then there's some more detailed information when you log into the community site that we'll cover here in just a second. So I've created a name, so it's going to ask for the email. And I've created an email called Noah Webinar. And I'm not typing very well. And it forces you to put it in twice so that we make for certain everything that we do is based off your email address. That is also one of the most common things we get. A player may register under a Gmail account and then turn around and use a Yahoo account on another device. And if that happens, your data is not going to be synced at the community website. So it's important that you use the same email address throughout. Okay, let me get the password in here. Same thing, I have to do that twice as well. And I'm just going to call this Noah webinar. And then it gives you an option. You can actually insert a picture. I'm going to grab Harry and Lloyd here if there's any Dumb and Dumber fans on the call, and choose that. And then I click Save, and it actually goes out and creates that account on the community website. So that's all done. Those of you that have launched the app before, you actually get this video. It's a 30-second video that kind of explains what's going on. I'm going to hit done and not go through all of that. And you see now I've got a user named Noah Webinar. Okay, and I can switch player. You can see that's the only player that I have at this point. So I'm going to run just a real quick 5-shot session just so we can see. So you can see here I just selected free throw. I can select the number of shots. I'm going to say 5 shots. What I have here I'm in my office, but we have a big screen TV with a Noah camera. We basically have a Noah Instant set up in the office here. We've got a video running continuously that's tracking it just like we were in a gym. So if I start a session, you can see it's going to start, and most of you are familiar with this. That last shot was 45 degrees, depth of 8 inches, and it was a score. 45-16, so forth. I'll explain the miss-make accuracy and the situation there here in just a second when we get through to the 5th shot. You can see the progress bar running across the screen. That tells you how you're progressing. So the computer says, you know, if it says I made 5 and I really made 4, I can actually change it there. Okay. So back to the miss-make. I want to talk about that briefly, and then we'll talk about the syncing. The miss-make percentage is what we do. We actually look at the net, and so if you have a good net that's that's very visible and you can see it moving around, our miss-make percentage is going to be really accurate. In many gyms, we're 100%. If you have a white gym, if you have a white background that's the exact same color as the net, it's hard for our computer to actually see that the net moved. And we've had a lot of people have painted a square behind the net on the wall or hung a banner, things like that, to create some contrast between that. Another thing you'll notice is the miss-make percentage is not as accurate when you're using a rebounding machine, a gun, or a Dr. Dish. And the reason being, as I explained, is we're looking at that net movement underneath the rim. Now that net is moving as well as our net, and so we end up with some false makes and misses along the way. So just wanted to point that out. I'm going to go ahead and go into the app a little bit further, and then we'll come back to it. But I want to talk about a few of the things here while we have it up on the screen, and then we'll go in and take a look at the community side and look at some of the data there. I'm going to go ahead and this time run a 10-shot session and talk about the sync process, because I want to have a 10-shot session so I can see the skill score. Here's how we sync, and you notice you don't have to have any internet connectivity in the gym to the Noah box for this to work properly. What happens is we're transmitting data from the Noah box right now to the app. The data is being saved to the device, to the iPhone, iPad, or the Android device. At the end of the session, when it gets to the 10th shot, the 25th shot, the 50th shot, whatever the case might be, the app actually looks to see if there's internet access. If there's internet access, it goes ahead and uploads the data to the community site immediately. Now, here at our office, we obviously have internet access, and what you'll see here now as we approach shot 10, you're going to see it'll say uploading. Okay, it says made all 10. Now it's downloading, it's contacting the community server, and it's actually uploading the session there. Now there's many of you that are on the call that actually, or some of you at least, that do have internet access, and so your sessions are uploading immediately. For those of you, which is the vast majority of our customers that don't have the Noah connected to their internet, what happens is the data is stored on the device, and then the next time that player is connected to the internet via a Wi-Fi connection, the data uploads automatically in the background. So again, let's say players shoot in the gym, You're not connected to the internet there. They go home, they connect to Wi-Fi there, or they connect to Wi-Fi at McDonald's or Starbucks or wherever. The data uploads in the background without the player having to do anything. So the worst case scenario is kids are going to connect, obviously. And the reason we don't do it via their cell coverage, and they have to be connected to Wi-Fi, is we don't want to use up a kid's data plan, without them being aware. So we only do the automatic upload through the, if they have a Wi-Fi connection. So again, if your players shoot today, tomorrow when you log into the community site, everything should be there. Okay. So you can see here, this particular session was 45 degrees, 10 inches deep in the basket. This is the skill score of expert 3. I can actually, many people don't, we need to make this a little more of a link, or that it appears to be a link. I can click on that. It actually shows you what the high school average is, the college average, and so forth, as far as the Noah skill score. I can click up, there's 3 tabs up here at the top. This is just the real summary information. 45-10, expert 3, made 100%. I can also click on the art plot here, and you can see here, I can actually zoom it, and it's going to go vertical or full screen, and I've got the actual art plot. And then over here, the last one is the stats. This is for those people that want to really dig in great detail. You can see here I've got the min, the max arc, min, max depth, and I've actually got a log of every shot. So you can see 44, 43. The check marks is a make, and if you have an X, which there was no X's in here, you would actually have an X there if it was a miss. So there's a full log of everything there throughout. And you can see my sync session right now is grayed out because, I wasn't, it already uploaded. So no need to sync. Also, there's a share session button. So if you do have web connectivity, even if you're not in the gym, you don't have to be connected to Noah. If I wanted to share this session, if I wanted to tweet it, I can do that. And many of you tweet us, and we appreciate that. It just says, session with, it says Noah webinar, which is the name we just shot of Noah with a skill score of expert 3. You also, if players want to share it, you can email it. It'll launch your email browser and set all of that up. You can post it to your Facebook page. There's you can also, if you're set up for wireless printing, you can print the art plot as well. So I think many people overlook that. I want to make you aware that you can do that. And we have many people that actually have a printer that's connected to the NoaaNet router. So you could have it sitting in your office, especially for camps. If you wanted to run a session for campers and you wanted to print it, if you have just a cheap $80 wireless printer that you can connect to the NoaaNet router that's in your box, and you're all set. Okay. One thing that I did not mention, and I know we've got customers on the phone, or primarily customers. One thing that I failed to mention also, when you get ready to run the app and run sessions, as most of you already know, you have to be connected to the Noah Wi-Fi network. And this one at our office is called NoaaNet 2. Those of you that have more than one Noah system, you may have one called NoaaNet 1 and one called NoaaNet 2. Even got a few that's got 3 or 4 Noahs. So you have to be connected, obviously, to get the data to transmit. So I should have mentioned that very early on. So back to the app itself. So that's the basic stuff. You've got your scorecard, you got your art plot, and you got your stats, and you got the ability to share it. And then I can look at the history. Here's the 2 sessions that we just ran. This is nothing more than that. It's just a history of all the sessions that are on your device. If this had not synced, that would not be grayed out. That would be more live. And this is where you can come if, say, you want to sync immediately, without waiting to connect to Wi-Fi. You can come here and click the Sync Now button, and it will sync all of your sessions. Okay. I'm just going down here across the bottom here. If I go to the More area, there's a few things you can do here. Modify teams and players. You can see this device only has the one team at this point. Teams John iPhone. And I've got the one player named Noah Webinar. There's no limit to the number of teams or the number of players you can have on a particular device. You can have varsity, JV, whatever you would like to have there. And in fact, I'm going to switch over to my iPad now because it does have many more teams in it, so you can see. So you can get a look at what it looks like there. And for whatever reason, that is not wanting to bring up the other iPad screen. I'm kind of freezing there. Give me 1 second. I apologize. Okay, now we should be back up. I had to restart that. So here's a look at, if I go to modify teams and players from my iPad, you can see I've got all these different teams that are in the system. The reason all these are in here, we did a tournament at the Gulf South Conference recently. But I can go to Team John's iPad, and here's all the, if I want to add a new player, I just click the button to add a new player. The one thing that's important to know is that when you add a new player, again, it's very important that you use the same email address that the player might have used on their personal device. A common way to manage this from a coach standpoint is many coaches will have an iPod or an iPad that they have their entire roster on their device. And so again, what you want to do there is make sure you use the same email address that the player uses on their device. So that's an important concept to understand. The email address is one of the most common things we get. So make sure that's consistent throughout, and then all the data will aggregate to the community website, which we'll move to here in a bit. Your data retention, you can see here, I've got mine set to 90 days. That means it'll only keep data on my device for 90 days. Custom shots, if say you wanted to create a custom shot called 15-foot jumper, I just go in here and type, 15-foot jumper, and then you can run 15-foot jumpers along the way as well. The video is just that. That'll actually take you back to that video that we saw earlier. It's a really good, short, high-level video as to what we're doing. And then if you click Visit Website, that will actually take you to the community website. So, but we're going to go there in just a second anyway. So that's a real quick high-level overview of the app. We'll dig in a little bit more as well. Again, don't hesitate to type in any questions if you have any along the way. One common question we get, what I'm trying to do is cover a lot of the things that are common that we get from coaches along the way. There are team management on one device. Team management is independent to the individual device. So, for example, say you've got a coach and 2 assistant coaches. If you want to have all of those kids set up, you actually have to go in and manually put them into your device one time. Okay, that's just how, there's no syncing between devices to pull the team data in. So you have to do that manually if you want to have them on that, on your device. The team management also on the app is totally different than the team management on the community side. And I know that's a bit confusing, but let me explain why. On the app, for example, let's say you've got a coach that's got a roster of 10 kids, but then you also have a dad that coaches an AAU team that has maybe 3 kids on his app. You don't want those interconnected, because that kid might be on multiple teams. He might be on an AAU team and a JV team and and another, just a team of kids, friends, so to speak. So there's not a lot of connectivity there. But that's a real quick on the app. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the community site, because actually there we can see all of the data, all of the sessions, everything actually shows up on the community site. So the way to get to the community site login, if you just go to NoahBasketball.com, you can click on the Noah Community Login here. or you can just go to community.noahbasketball.com. Now, to point out a couple things about the login here. First off, the exact username and password that was used when you launched the app the first time, that is the username and password that you would use here. Okay. Also, there are some, like for example, say a parent or a coach has no intention of downloading the app and joining the community, or I'm sorry, of actually shooting sessions on the app. You can just come here and register for the community here. You just click on new user, fill out the information, then you can connect to your players. Many parents, of course, do this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sign in under the user that we just created, Noah Webinar. And so this is what the kids will see. Okay, so they've downloaded the app, they've launched it, and if I click log in, since this is the very first time to log in, this is the information that actually comes up, and I'll explain why you have to do that. So you get the opportunity here first off to change the password. I'm actually going to leave it the same. Then it asks for your birth date. And the reason for that, when we get to the leaderboards here in a second, you will see that we actually can do leaderboards by age. And so obviously we need to know how old you are. If we're doing that, I'm going to put my date of birth in here. And then it asks for gender. With the leaderboards, you can also do by male or female. I'm going to put in, it's going to ask for your city and state. I'm in Athens, Alabama today. And because you can also do leaderboards by state, which we'll look at here in a second. It's going to ask me for the country. And then it's going to ask me, hey, are you a player? Are you a coach? Who are you? I'm going to say, I'm a coach. And then the mobile phone number. I'll go ahead and stick mine in there, but I'll tell you why we asked for that. In the future, we will likely add some text message notifications. For example, right now, kids have to sign on to join your team, which I'm going to show you here in just a second. But in the future, we will actually add cell phone capability so that people can, you can get a text message that says, hey, John Carter wants to add you to his team. Is that okay? And they can just say yes or no. Then we ask if you're 13 years of age. Most any community website that you log into asks you that. And I say complete registration. And now I'm registered. Okay. So that user is now in the system. So what I was going to do is, first off here, I'm going to log back in. Just wanted you to see the password. Log in as myself so that I've got some actual data there. And I realize on this call we primarily got coaches, so I'm going to speak more from a coach's standpoint. This is what a coach's dashboard looks like on the community website. And what you have here, you see the coach list is at the top, and then these are all of my players, okay? And you can see all the lists of players here. One of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to remove Corbin, who manages our marketing, and Rick Turk, who's our national sales manager. I'm going to remove both of these guys from my team. And obviously the way I do that, I just click Remove Player, and you'll see the X's come up next to the names. So this is what you would need to do if you've got players that graduated, you don't want to leave on your team or didn't make the team or whatever happened. And then I just click that back to take it out of that mode. And I did that so that we can add them, and you can see actually how we do that here in just a bit. So this is the dashboard. This is a list of all the, so when you log in for the first time as a coach, you're not going to have any players on your team. Okay, it's just going to be a blank sheet. And the way that you add players to your team, obviously we just talked about how to remove them. I'm going to now click on Rick Turk, and our national sales manager, and I'm going to click Add Player to my team. So now what will happen is I'm going to do the same thing for Corbin. I can type. So I'm going to add Corbin to my team. So this is the way it has to work for you to get access to all of your players' data. From a privacy standpoint, we have to do it this way. Otherwise, anybody could just connect to anybody. Okay, so we don't want, you know, a competitor, someone else being able to connect to players if they're not really authorized to do so. So it's just a privacy issue. That's the way we have to do it. And so what will happen now is Corbin and Rick, I hope you're listening. I want you guys to log in and accept my team request so I can get you guys back on my team. And Corbin has already accepted. He's now back on my team, and Rick has as well. So Corbin, what I'd like for you to do as well, I'm going to look. I don't believe that. So I'm going to go in and remove Corbin and Rick from my friend list. Okay, so just similar type stuff to most any community site. You can see I can go to Noah Friends, and I just remove those guys. And guys, what I want you to do is search for me and send me a friend request so that will pop up on the screen here so that everyone can see that. But literally, you just search in your players. You know, like obviously here's a lot of Johns, you know, a lot of Ricks for all, and it pulls up whether Rick is in the last name, the first name, or in the city name. And so you type in your players' names and you pull them up and click that you want to send a friend request or a team request to them. Okay. So that's real quickly how you connect to your players. Okay. And you can see here, friend request is popped up at the bottom. And so Rick Turk has asked to be your friend. I'm going to accept that. You know, also Will Kimball, I think who's on the call, is also same thing. I can accept or decline. And you do exactly the same thing for teams. So there's two different types of connections on the community site. One is, let me pull up there's actually well, I should have pulled up someone else's name, sorry. So I'm just pulling up someone random here. So you can see I can add this player as a friend, or I can add this player to my basketball team, okay, that I want to track. So the way the team, so let's see here, let's go back to the main page, and then we'll dig in a little deeper. You can see here I can switch teams. So if I want to go to a different team, I can just select here, and now I've got a totally different team. So again, this is a great way to do varsity, JV, freshman, AAU team, you know, whatever the case might be. You know, you just change, and same thing. If I want to add a player to this team, I just go to the search box, pull them up, click add. The one thing that's, I don't know if you'd call it a hassle, maybe too strong of a word, but the biggest hassle initially is getting your players to log in and accept those requests like we just did. Obviously, very simple thing to do. Most coaches will actually just grab all the players, and when they first get everything set up, go to the community site, get them all to log in from your office or wherever and accept the request, so the connections are made, which is a good thing to do. You can see here I'm connected to a bunch of friends, obviously. I'm sorry, a bunch of teams. I'm going to switch back to this team that has a lot of data in it, and what you see, here's all the details of my players. Okay, so this is the main dashboard. Here's the shots logged. I can sort by any of these columns, so you can see who's shooting the most. I can sort it by consistency score. This is effectively a leaderboard for your team. Okay, I can sort by arc and depth if I wanted to. You'll also notice, and you're going to see this throughout the site, we use colors so you can get a very quick visual of what's going on with your team. And you can see here, anybody that's in the 43 to 47 range on arc, they're green. Okay, here's one at 42. That one's just turned red. Here's one at 50 is too high. That obviously is red. You can see the same thing on the depth. Here's one with a depth of only 7, a depth of 17. So those are turned red. So you as a coach can look at this and say, wow, I really need to get, I need to get after Corbin. I need to get after Michael or Stephen or whomever. Okay. Kind of a funny thing, I had one coach tell me that he logs into his community site every day, and if there's anything red, he makes everybody run. He said that works really well, because now a kid doesn't want to go out there and just shoot a session at 38 degrees because he knows it's going to turn the coach's dashboard red. So it's just kind of a neat way to to do that. You'll also notice there's a news feed that you can see who on your team has actually been shooting and what they've been doing. Our Twitter feed's on the bottom left here as well. I'm going to pull up just so you can see, just like VMI. This is Virginia Military Institute. They friended me when we were getting it set up, and it never really took me off. But what you see here is this is what you really want. See all the number 4,000 shots, 1,200 shots, 14,000 shots, 2,500 shots. They obviously been really using it, but they do have a few guys down here at the bottom that are continuing to shoot short, and that's something they need to be working on. But a lot of this is obviously some of their better shooters up here. You can see it sorted by expert 3, expert 2, all the way down. So again, once you get your team set up, what happens right now, like I've got 702 shots logged. If I shot a session today and then it synced tonight, if I shot a 50-shot session, that would be 752 the next time you logged in. All the data will aggregate there in one place. I wanted to show you, in fact, a really quick example of that. This is Michael Carter, one of my sons, and he's out of high school now and will shoot on Noah when he gets a chance. But I just wanted to show you, for example, here's a session he shot at Birmingham Southern College, which has a Noah system. Here's a session that was shot at our local high school, okay? And then here's a session that was shot at that's still another high school session, at our Noah warehouse. So no matter where you're shooting, as long as you're using the app under the same name, and also this was shot on 3 different devices. One was on his, one was on my iPhone, and one was on my iPad. And so all the data aggregates to the one place, which is great, from a data analysis standpoint. So, which is what we're looking for. So that's a very quick of the My Team, and I'm going to go into the profile now and take a look at that. And so if I go to my profile, this is me and my wife, and you'll see, here's my friends. I'm at 45 and 10. One thing you'll notice here, and it says it on the screen, on your profile, everything's based off your last 10 sessions. And we do it that way purposely, even though all the data is saved in our cloud database. But we want a player to be able to move up or down the board pretty quickly. Okay, and if we just look at your last 10 sessions, hopefully they'll keep a player on their toes. If they have a bad session, it's going to hurt their score. And we do the same thing on the leaderboard. It's based off your last 10 sessions. So that's an important thing to understand. You can see I can edit my profile and teams. So I can go in here and edit my profile, where I'm from, numbers, favorite players, all those kind of things. I can also change my password. I can change my privacy settings. There's 3 different options on the privacy settings. Like I've got mine wide open where everyone can see my data. I don't really care. There's no confidential information. The email address isn't exposed. We don't even collect, any important numbers, social number, all those type things. So the settings are who should be able to see your shot, sessions, art plots. I've basically got mine. Everybody can see it. The options are only my friends can see it, only my coaches can see it, only friends and coaches, or I can just operate in stealth mode where nobody can see it. Okay. Then you got another option. Who should be able to see your news feed? Okay. Again, same options. And then you can, some people say, well, hey, I don't really want everybody to be able to see all of my sessions, but I would still like to be included in the leaderboard. So that's just a yes or no there. So you can just save the privacy settings there. If I want to manage my teams or add a team, you can see I'm on a lot of teams here. This is where, these are other people's teams. So these 2 here are my team, so I can remove that team if I want to. If, I'm on this team right here, VMI, if I want to leave the team, I just click Leave Team, and I can take myself off that team. If I created the team, then I have the option to remove the team. Otherwise, I only have the option to leave that team, which I think that will make sense to everyone. So that's the profile settings. Sessions activity is just that. You can go in and look at all of the sessions that have been shot. This is obviously pulling up mine. And you can see we got a nice bar graph here that shows the gray bar is how many shots taken, and the orange line is the percent of shots made. Again, full history of all the sessions here. If I want to go back and pull up a session, obviously I let a lot of other people shoot under my name. This is, I think this is the University of Memphis maybe. But all the sessions are saved there. I want to go ahead and shift to the leaderboards because I think there's a lot of good information here to take a look at. First thing I'm going to do is show you kind of a historical look of someone that's shot a lot of shots on NOAA and the type results that they can get. This is a coach, Coach Hellage up in, I'm pretty sure he's in Iowa. And what I'm going to do is pull up all of his sessions. You can see here, you will see this arc and depth graphic throughout the site, okay? And so what we do, each one of these dots, so you can see here 45 degrees is the goal, 11 inches deep is the depth goal. I think all of you that are customers already know that, but we have a little saying that we like to say to help remember it, to share with your kids. You want to shoot 45 steep. In other words, you want to come into the rim at 45 degrees, and you want to shoot 11 inches deep in the basket, okay? So 45 steep, 11 deep. And what you see here, all of these are green, which is really, really good, okay? That's what we want. And I can click on one of these, and it'll actually pull up the art plot, okay? So there's one of the art plots for Coach Hellage. And what's neat is because Coach Hellage has shot a lot of shots, he shot 8,100 shots. He's actually recorded through his app. I'm sure he's shot a lot more than that. But if I go to all of his sessions, you will see here that he shot too high when they first got a NOAA at his school. You'll see also, I talked about the green. If you have an average arc of 44, 45, or 46, you get a green bubble. If you shoot 43 or 47, you get a yellow bubble, okay? And so we kind of use the ditch analogy. You know, when you get the yellow, hey, there's caution. You know, I'm getting close to the edge of the ditch. When I get above 47 or below 43, I'm really starting to hurt my percentage, okay? The ideal arc, as everyone on this call knows, is 45 degrees. But you can see here, he started out really high, and he worked it down over time. Another thing people don't look at enough here, this is really powerful. If I click on the skill score plus percent made, this gives me a great graphic that shows all of my history, okay, on the NOAA side. And this is terrific. You know, here's 8,100 free throw shots that Coach Hellage has shot. And what you see here, the green line is the skill score. That's the NOAA skill score that all of you are familiar with, okay? And we get the question a lot, you know, does the NOAA skill score, does it really correlate to the percent made? And it absolutely does. Look here, okay? You can see the skill score and the percent made, and they absolutely correlate exactly to one another. So as your skill score increases over time, your percent made increases over time, okay? Now the velocity data, many people don't look at this. There's not a good way to provide feedback on velocity. It's kind of a result of shooting 45 and 11 and building muscle memory and consistency, but it's kind of neat to look at. But you can see here as well how Coach Hellage's velocity, look how his velocity control increased, and his velocity score got much better over time, which is what we want. So we go back to the leaderboard. I'm going to pull up as well, just because I just noticed this morning. Here's a kid. I say kid, I don't know how old Matt is. He looks really young in that picture. But you can see here also a player that shot too high. Okay, and you can see all the red bubbles. But then look, it took him about 15 to 18 sessions. But now look where he is. Okay, 45, very close to 11, very consistently. And let's look at his skill score plus percent made over time. And, you know, I think that's really, really impressive. And what you see, again, skill score increasing, percent made increasing, okay, which is exactly what we want. I'm going to pull out one more, and then we're going to get into a little more detail of the see, Rick has asked me to join a team, which that comes up here as well. I can request that or accept that. Here's one. kind of the same thing, and I could pull up several that are flat as well, but you can see this young lady, I think she's in the 7th grade here when they got their system, but shooting it really high, really inconsistent. But she shot 2,000 shots. Let's look at her skill score plus percent made. And wow, just great improvement steadily over about a year to 14-month period of time. So that's what we're trying to do. You also see great velocity data improvement. Again, not something you can really give feedback on, but it is a output of better shooting, basically, when you get players who are shooting 45-11. So it looks much, much better. So on the leaderboard here, there's several things you can look at here. Basically, what we have, anytime you click on the leaderboard, it's a global leaderboard. If I just want to look at my team, I can just pull up Noah Basketball Friends and click go, and now here's my leaderboard. Okay, nobody on here but my players, my team. Okay, I'm going to take that back to all and say, hey, I just want to look at what the leaderboard looks like for the state of Iowa. Okay, so I click Iowa and click go, and here's my leaderboard for Iowa. Okay, and you can see, and you can go any number of different ways there. If I just want to look at my Canadian friends and click go, here are the Canadian leaderboard, and so forth. If I want to just look at all of the male players, between 15 and 16 for the again, for the state of Iowa, go there they are. Okay, so there's a number of different ways you can filter this down to look at the leaderboard, and we found this to be really, the kids like this. They like to see how they rank. You can obviously change it to 3-pointers if you want to look at the 3-point leaderboard. Any number of different ways you can look at the leaderboard. So back to, I'm going to show you one last thing on the community site, and then I see a few questions starting to come in. We're going to address the questions here in just a second. So again, if you haven't asked a question and you wanted to, now's a great time to be typing that in. I want to show you, there's 2 different kinds of dashboards. So if you selected that you're a coach, you're going to see a dashboard like this, okay, with a list of players. Okay, well, the kids don't, if I just I'm going to log in under a player name. And so if I just log in here, you're going to see a little different dashboard, okay? Basically, you're going to get this arc depth graphic. And then I can go here, like if this player's on a team, I can say, well, hey, I want to see my team leaderboard, and then you can actually get to the team, okay? But again, the main dashboard for the player, when they log in, this is what they see. And you can see I can look at the last week. This is my 25-year-old son that's not shooting very often on Noah these days. That's the reason I had to pull up for all. But if I want to just look at the last week, month, year, or just say I want to look at all the sessions shot, I can pull it up here. Okay. Some other buttons over here to the right that I haven't mentioned yet, but if I want to show my average, it'll actually pull up or show the team average. Show the national average. The national average is about between 45 and 46 and about 10.5 inches deep, by the way. So a lot of people doing a good job shooting 45 and 11, which we want to see. So again, profile, Noah Friends, we looked at that page real briefly. I'm going to log out now and log back into mine. And so you can see here your friends page is kind of cool because you can go there, you can see all the friends, and you also can see, again, the news feed of what your friends are doing. Okay, my friends are primarily Noah reps and our technology partners and whatnot, so I don't have a lot of activity in the feed. But those of you that have players that are shooting on a regular basis, you will see this, which is kind of cool to keep up with what everybody else is doing. The Noaa IQ is something we're not really using at the moment. You'll see it's kind of a coming soon. Those of you that have played around with the Noaa IQ Score on the app, what that does, it actually turns the feedback off. And for those of you that have an older system that it doesn't automatically do that, you just go over to the volume knob and turn it off. And then what it'll do is it'll come up on the screen and it'll ask you what you think the last shot was. So it's a great way to measure your muscle memory training. So for example, you'll shoot Noah sends the data to the app, but it doesn't say anything, and the player will actually have to put in a score. Say, hey, I think it was a 46. I think it was a 47. And at the end of the session, it'll tell you how many you got correct, how many you were within 1 degree, how many you were within 2 degrees. So it's a really good way to measure. We just haven't integrated that into the community site at this point. Okay, again, type away on questions. I'm starting to see I'm actually getting ready to move into the question part of it. One of the first questions I've got here is, will we be able to view the webinar later? Yes, we are recording it. So we're going to actually put that up. All of you will get an email after the webinar is over with a link to the recording so that you can go in, or if you want to talk to any of your, have any of your players or other coaches or whomever that were unable to watch. So, okay, well, I'm gonna show one other thing on the app that just hit my mind that I forgot to show, and then we're gonna answer a few more questions, and then we'll wind up here. Okay. And there we go. I think it's really slow for some reason. The dashboard. I didn't hit the dashboard earlier. This is a pretty cool feature. It's pretty new to the app. What you see here, it's just a great way to get a quick look. If you're connected to the internet, this actually pulls data in right from our community website right to your device. And you can see here, this is Jonathan Carter is pulled up. I can go and pull up Michael Carter, and you can see here's the ARC scores at the bottom here. And then I can click on depth, and now here's the depth scores, and then you also have the skill score. Very similar to the community website, just a much smaller version of that for you to work with. You'll also see this is something we're working on where you can actually see your global rankings and your team rankings right at the dashboard of your app. So again, don't even have to be in the gym. Kids can pull up and see where they stack up with others, and so that you will see that coming out real soon. So probably here in the next couple of weeks, that will be active on the app. This is where I was going to show you real briefly where the session feedback and the Noaa IQ test that I mentioned. That's where that comes into play. You can turn the Noaa IQ test on, and you'll notice it turns the Noaa feedback off every time I turn the IQ test on. There's also the ability, those of you that have the most recent version of the software, which probably most everyone on this call has, that you can actually record a single shot. And so I'm going to click record a shot, and it actually takes, so it's actually, what happens when you do that, it actually sends a message to the Noaa box that says, hey, we want to record that shot. So it records it, saves it on the computer, compresses it, and then sends it to your iPad, iPhone, or Android device. And it takes about, somewhere around 12, 14 seconds for that to happen. But again, playing video on a webinar sometimes doesn't work perfectly, but I hope you can see that we can actually play the session. And so you've got the ARC, you've got the mechanics that you can take a look at. Anytime you do this as well, this video clip is saved in your in your photo library. So you can go back and look at that at other points in time as well. I'm going to show you one last thing, and then we're going to do some questions. Something that this is really fascinating to me. This kind of happened by accident, but you guys saw how the community website works and the 45 degrees. And I was at I did a high school clinic in the fall in New Jersey, and I had everyone shoot under the name Carter Clinics, which I do quite often. And you can see this is what we see at every high school we go to. So you got a player shooting 50, a player shooting 36, a player shooting 50, a player shooting 45. They're just all over the place, okay? Well, then the next day, I spent the entire day with the Brooklyn Nets. What do you see there, okay? Every player on the team except two there, that's actually one player shooting the same two sessions. It's Mason Plumlee. every player on their team is shooting either 44, 45, or 46, and they've got one at 43. Okay, that's what it's like in every NBA gym I go to. Okay, they're the best players in the world. They have some of the best shooters in the world, and typically they'll have a post player or two that's shooting way too flat. But this is what we see everywhere we go. Okay. Then the next night I was in New York and did another high school clinic, and what do you see? All over the place. Okay. I just wanted to point that out. Same thing on the depth scores. Shooting the ball deep in the basket. NBA teams, high-level college teams, they know it's valuable and they push it. You can see the high school team all over the place. Okay. The NBA team, all of them were, actually, and they even had a couple of players I talked to them about that are shooting too deep, because this staff really, really stresses it. They get it. And you can see another high school just all over the place. So I can't really stress enough how important it is that you get your players shooting the ball 45 degrees, 11 inches deep in the basket. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here because you guys have already bought a Noah system, so you obviously saw the value in it from the very, very beginning. So again, I'm gonna go into a few of the questions here. So certainly continue to type away, but I'm going to actually pull up some of the questions. And what we will do as well, if there are any of the questions that we don't get to, that we just run out of time, what I would ask you to do, we're going to save this question log, and we will go through and answer those questions for you after the fact. So, okay, so one question I got here is about software downloads, about upgrades. So we rarely honestly have upgrades on the Noah instance software in the box. The Noah software in the box does what it does. It tracks the shots, tracks the arc, tracks the depth. We are working on one small upgrade right now. It's not a significant one. Most of the way we're set up, all of our upgrades are going to happen through the app. Okay, so you'll notice there's been quite a few different upgrades to the app, and that will continue to be the case. Okay, just looking through the questions here real quick. Had a question about email. I've covered that a couple of times, but let me hit that again. And I think this question may have been asked actually before I explained it, but it is important to have a unique email. You want to use that email throughout. When you go from device to device, use the same email address. Your data will all aggregate as it should on the website, which is important. Can I have a user set up on more than one device? Again, we've covered that a bit as well. But yes, you can put a user on as many devices as you want. Okay. Again, just use the same email address, so the data will get there. Now, here's one that I'm sure a lot of people are interested in. How is the skill score calculated? Okay. How do we calculate our Noah skill scores? What we do, it's a statistical calculation. So we take the arc and depth data, and we look at it, and we do just a basic standard deviation. And so you'll notice 10 is the max. We have a 0 to 10 skill score. And if you could shoot every shot exactly the same, you would get you'd have a perfect score. Okay, no one can do that. But you would get a perfect 10. So what we take the amount of deviation that you have in the arc of the shot, the entry angle, and the deviation that you have in the depth, the entry depth, and we do a calculation there. And as you could see when I did the bar charts of the skill score versus the percent made, we actually spent years developing that skill score and the calculation of it. And there's absolutely a direct correlation between your Noah skill score and the percent of shots made. So, and I think you saw enough to see that. Another question about Wi-Fi in the gym, and I hit this briefly, but I don't think I covered it as much as I needed to. Again, you do not have to have, your Noah box does not have to be connected to your school internet. We found that to be problematic. When you get on your school's network, now there's a different level of security protocols that have to be followed, and it's really hard for us to do that at every different school. So again, you've got your router in the Noah box that you connect to, the Noah Net router, and not connected to the internet at all. and that's how you transmit the data. The data is then stored on your personal device, iPad, iPhone, Android device. Then it uploads later when you are connected. I had a question here as well that I wanted to address. That someone said, well, what is the best way to bring internet to the Noah box so I can have instant uploads? The best way to do that is to bring an Ethernet cable, just a network cable, into the box. It's actually the only way to do it. We cannot connect to your wireless network. Again, that we found that to be problematic with your school's IT departments. So the only way to do that is if you're willing and able to bring an Ethernet cable, and we have quite a few schools that do that. If they'll bring an Ethernet cable to the box and plug that in the back of our router, your sessions will upload immediately, just like the ones that we just did here a few minutes ago. Looking real quickly through here. I had a question about the timing of getting shots. I'm not 100% sure I understand it completely. It says there a function sets a time limit to set up a number of shots. And again, back to game shots at game speed, I think is the concern here. But no, everything is driven off number of shots, the shot type, and the number of shots. And Coach, feel free to call myself or Rick or your Noah rep, and we'll explain that further. But certainly you should be able to shoot shots at game speed. As all of you know, you have to shoot reasonably straight ahead to get good, accurate feedback. But certainly you can get up shots really fast. If you're seeing a delay in that, in other words, it's taking too long to get the feedback, you need to get with us. You could have a hardware problem, a memory leak, or a camera going bad, or some of those type things. We don't see those too often, but if the feedback starts getting delayed, then that's typically a hardware problem that you need to make us aware of. Okay, well, our goal was to finish this in 1 hour. It is 12 noon, so on Central Time clock. So we're going to stop here. Again, this has been recorded. We will send this back out to you. Also, my email address, I'm going to give you 2 email addresses that you can write down here. Mine is jcarter, JCARTER, at noahbasketball.com. And then Rick Turk, who's our national sales manager, is rturk, TURK, at noahbasketball.com. So don't hesitate to email either of us. If you have any specific questions, we're actually going to go through this log because I didn't get to, there was more questions than I could get to. I just kind of scrolled through. But we're going to save this log, and those of you that had a question that we didn't address, you'll be hearing from us because we have your email address from where you logged in for the webinar. So I hope it was helpful. Kind of had to jump around to a lot of different places, but again, feel free to reach out to us if you have any other issues or questions. Thank you all very much. Have a great weekend.